Hello and welcome to the No Filter podcast. I'm Mia Friedman, and today's episode is really raw. At times, it may be hard to listen to because the person I'm talking to breaks down more than once during our conversation, and so did I, but you won't be able to hear that. Her distress, though, is all too apparent. Let me give you a bit of background first. Last year, I spent some time in hospital with my younger son after he woke up one morning and he couldn't walk. And we went straight into emergency and they did loads of tests and we stayed there, we got admitted and we stayed there for the next 10 days. He wasn't in any pain and the doctors ruled out the terrifying stuff, but he still couldn't walk. And we spent those 10 days in the children's hospital in the neurological ward. And I met my guest on today's episode early one morning in the kitchen in the ward where we were both making ourselves an early morning cup of tea. I noticed this woman straight away because she had no hair. And you kind of get used to seeing kids with no hair when you spend a lot of time in hospital, but not the adults because we're all there as carers, not as patients. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, surely she doesn't have cancer as well as a sick child. And then I sort of said hi as we shared this small kitchen space and took turns with the kettle. And when you meet new people when in a hospital, in a children's hospital, when you're there taking care of your sick children, it's a really sort of delicate process and everyone's careful not to pry, but at the same time, your defences are stripped right back and you're incredibly vulnerable. There's like this instant intimacy that goes on in this place that it feels like another world from the one that's somehow continuing outside the hospital walls. So back in the kitchen, we chatted about our kids. Marilee's 5-year-old daughter Milan was there recovering from an operation to remove a tumour. And she also had a 3-year-old and a baby at home. She was still breastfeeding. Now, spending any time in a children's hospital, as many of you may know, is a very sobering and humbling experience. And for the 1000th time while I was talking to Marilee that day, I thought about how suddenly life can change. The next day, it did change. My son had recovered enough movement in his legs and we went home soon after and now he's fine. But I thought a lot about Marilee and about her daughter. And then a couple of weeks ago, I received an email from one of Marilee's friends with an update. And I reached out through this friend to Marilee to ask if perhaps she wanted to talk because I know that there are a lot of people who are going through similar things and people who may go through these same things in the future. And just hearing directly from someone during an incredibly tough time, I think can have real value in just making people feel seen and understood and like they're not alone. So Marilee and I did talk. We sat down. She was at her house in her lounge room and we talked via FaceTime. And I wanted to share this with you. And here she is, Marilee Mai. I want to take you back to Micah's birthday party. It was just in July last year?
Yep.
What happened on that day?
That day, so I made a cake and all my family, wherever, it was just a family party. And Milan was just really pale. And I was like, what's going on? What, are you okay? She was like, I'm okay. She fell asleep in the living room in front of everybody. So everyone was there, noisy, and she just kind of slumped onto the couch. I was like, that's strange. So I moved her onto her bed and then I thought I'd call the home doctor. I was like, look, she's a bit unwell, but she doesn't have a runny nose and a fever. It's a bit strange.
Marilee, what made you call the doctor? Because you've got 3 kids. At the time, Milan was 5, Micah was turning 3, and Major wasn't even yet 1. So
yeah.
You've got a lot going on. You're not a nervous first-time mum. So, you know, kids fall asleep sometimes. They get tired. What was it that made you think to call the doctor?
It wasn't her because she's so, she's bubbly and she's a performer and she helps me. It just wasn't her. So I thought, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with her because if she had a runny nose or a fever, I'd say, okay, she's sick. And I thought, why is she so tired? And because she had said she had a headache earlier as well. And I thought, you're a child, you shouldn't have a headache. Right, and that I just called the doctor. It was just strange why I just thought I was so casual, like, yeah, call the home doctor. Can't be bothered taking her to the doctor.
Yeah.
And it was it was a weekend, so you can call all day.
And what did they say to you?
They went through some checklist, like, oh, what are her symptoms? I'm like, you know what? She's got no symptoms. She's just tired. And then they said just immediately call the ambulance. And I was like, are you serious? Whatever. I'm not calling the ambulance, but thanks. And then I went into her room to rouse her, and she was like, and I thought, okay, that's not right. So I didn't call the ambulance. I just told my husband just take her to the hospital because it's just down the road. So we took her in a cab to Hurstville to get an MRI, and I thought, yeah, she'll be fine. And he took her, and all the tests were coming back clear. Even that night she stayed in hospital, I wasn't worried at all. I thought, oh yeah, something will come up, some kind of virus. And then we had that meeting in the room, and I had Major strapped to my body. I didn't expect any of this, and I just remember, I was like, oh, I'm sorry to say, we found a tumour. Shit. And then that's what happened. She got a tumour, 4 centimetres. Ambulance to Randwick immediately.
Who told you the news, and where were you? Was Milan with you?
Milan was in her hospital bed at Sutherland Hospital, and it was this kind of this Asian woman doctor and a junior guy doctor with her, and they were really, really nervous. Like, they were shaking. I remember they were really, really nervous, and I thought, why are you guys so nervous? And then they said that to me, and I was like, couldn't believe it. The baby was strapped to me. All of a sudden, everything just felt so... I felt like I was going to vomit, but I thought I couldn't vomit because the baby was on me. I didn't want to dirty the baby. So these are the thoughts going through my mind, right?
Yeah.
I can't vomit. I'm gonna wreck his hair. Okay. Oh, it was just horrible. And then went in the ambulance with my husband to the hospital. Oh.
So she went to they immediately transferred her to the Children's Hospital?
To Randwick, yeah. And it wasn't even urgent then, but it wasn't even urgent. They said, we'll schedule surgery for, in a few days, like midweek when the surgeons are available. They were pretty chill. And then she declined so rapidly that she had emergency surgery pretty much that next day.
When they said brain tumour, did they straight away start talking about operating on her? Did you have a lot of questions, or did you just go blank?
I went blank. They went blank. They didn't have anything because it's just not their specialty, They were it's just Southern Hospital. I went blank. They went blank. I didn't even ask any questions. It was pretty much brain tumour. You're going to Randwick. And
so when you got there, they said surgery. And were you straight away hopeful, thinking?
No, I was shattered. I was just shattered the whole way through. Shattered, shaking. I remember talking to the neurosurgeon registrar, she was the junior, and I remember having a book and writing all this stuff down, and that was the last time I wrote anything down. But I remember I wrote so much down that afternoon when she was explaining to me what they were actually going to do, what they blah, 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 blah. And then I remember waiting those hours when she was actually in surgery and laying in her bed. And it was so dark, and it was.
Was your husband there with you, Marilee, as well, Min?
He was. He was home. Yeah, we were home because the surgery was a few hours. I said, just go home, and this is your chance to sleep at home because when she comes out of surgery, she'll be knocked out in ICU. Just take this chance to sleep at home, and then. They said the surgeon will call you, and no one called me, so I called them at 7 o'clock on the dot, and he had just come out, and he said to me, we got it all out. It was a great surgery, and we got it all. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm so happy. I was so happy. And now I think back, and that didn't mean anything. Getting it all out meant nothing.
So you had that massive relief thinking it's done, it's behind us.
It's gone. Yes, it's gone. And they said, it's either, we're going to test it, see if it's a benign or malignant. And I was like, okay, well, malignant means cancerous, benign means not cancerous. Let's hope it's benign. And I remember meeting the surgeon, and he said, look, to be honest, it doesn't matter if it's benign or malignant, it causes the same damage. He wasn't too concerned. And then he said the word medulloblastoma, and then he said, you can Google, but there's been a lot of advancements, so don't be too stressed. There's a lot of, and I was like, oh, okay. And then, and then having the meeting with the oncologist and him telling me she had 80% cure rate, I remember being so devastated hearing that, like thinking about the 20%. I remember thinking, are you serious? 80%. And now I think back, I'm like, geez, now she's just 5%. I don't even care about the percentages anymore. It doesn't matter.
So when she had the surgery, this is still only a couple of days after that birthday party, a couple of days after you called the after doctor's hour.
Yep.
And so what happened next?
She was just like knocked out in ICU, just like eyes closed, knocked out on drugs.
How did you prepare her for the surgery? Did you get to talk to her beforehand and explain what was going on?
It was a sort of. I tried to. They gave me a book, and it was a bodgiest book. It was like photocopied. It was too many words, crap pictures. So I just told her that there was a monster in her head, and the monster was causing headaches. So they're just going to take it out. And I remember she was really, she didn't talk much then. I think she was deteriorating. She just didn't talk much, and she was very, pissed off, kind of uncomfortable, very sooky. But, that's how I explained it to her, and that's how she, after, not now, but after everything happened, that's how she explained it to other people as well. So she understood that that's what it was for, and that she stopped getting headaches after that surgery. And she actually recounted her sister's birthday party and how she had a big headache that day. So she knows what a headache is. So I'll always ask her every 30 seconds, do you have a headache? Do you have a headache? And she hasn't had one since.
So as far as she was concerned, that took the monster away and she was better.
Yeah.
And you thought she was better too?
Yes.
So you went home from hospital?
Oh, no. Yeah, so we were in hospital for ages. We were in hospital for nearly a month. And every day, she didn't open her eyes for nearly a month. And she was raging. And we didn't go home because she kept having these fevers and they couldn't explain why. And they kind of boiled it down to chemical meningitis because everything was clear. Her bloods were clear, but she was just getting these fevers. Yeah, and all of a sudden the fevers broke and we got to go home. And she still didn't speak. She didn't speak until about a few days after we got home.
Was that psychological, or did they not know if they'd done some damage when they removed the tumour?
They said it's very common to get posterior fossa syndrome, which means, you can't talk or you can't walk or, because we're a movement. Oh, I don't know. They said that could be a possibility, but she could walk fine. I think it was psychological because the first thing she said was, oh, that's a Kinder surprise, talked to her sister in the backseat of the car. So she could speak, but I think that's just how she is, She just shuts down and doesn't talk. But she started talking today so much.
So you got home from the hospital and was it back to life? When did she relapse?
Oh, she relapsed at the end of radiation treatment. So it was back to life, but going to radiation every day. I didn't even want to do radiation. A big part of me, I thought, I don't want to do it because she's cancer-free at the moment. I don't want to do it. But her radiation oncologist said, this cancer shows that it will come back if we don't do radiation, and radiation is your best chance. But you know what? It didn't even help her. It didn't help at all. It grew back where she got the most radiation, which they're so shocked. They've never seen it happen before.
When I met you, it was December, I think, or November, and she'd come back into hospital and she had another operation. How did you realise that it was back? It
started off as a little kind of pea behind her scar, under her scar, and everyone was saying to me, oh, it's just scar tissue, and it was growing and getting bigger and bigger to the point where it got as big as a little avocado seed. And all this time I was saying, it's cancer. And they said to me, oh, you're being so silly. It's not. The only reason they decided to cut it out was to dot our I's and cross our T's before chemo started. And then they tested it, and it was medulloblastoma. They couldn't believe it.
And is
no
that
one could believe
a
it.
different type of cancer to the one she had?
The same, but it had moved out of her brain, which is strange as well, so soon and after radiation. So the cancer was in her brain, and then it had metastasized outside of her brain, just under her scar, around the bottom of her spine and into her hip. Yeah, that was bad.
Just jumping in here with a bit of medical context. So when you spend any time in hospital, you quickly start using quite complicated medical terminology. So here's a brief explanation of Milan's condition. She started off by having a rare brain cancer called medulloblastoma. And in layman's terms, that's a cancerous tumour that starts at the base of the skull. After the tumour was removed, she was re-diagnosed with leptomeningeal disease, which is a rare complication of cancer in which the disease spreads to the membranes surrounding the brain and the spinal cord. Back to Marilee. How did you talk to her about it then?
I just said, we're just gonna fight the cancer, Milan, because it's come back, but we're just gonna fight it. She's like, yeah, we'll fight it, and that was our big mantra at home. We're fighting the cancer, and we're gonna get better soon. That's it.
Is that the story that you tell at home and the story to your other children?
Yeah. That we're just the cancer makes Milan sick, but we fight it with medicine, and the medicine makes our hair fall out, but that's all right because it will grow back. And it is growing back now.
When I saw you had your head shaved. You still have your head shaved.
Yeah.
When did you shave it?
When it fell out, when Milan's hair fell out halfway through radiation, so about September.
And tell me about that decision.
Oh, that day was just crazy. Like it kind of like went from having hair to coming out in clumps that day in recovery, because she was being put under general anaesthetic every day for half her treatment. And I remember seeing the hair, and I was devastated, and I'm trying not to cry. The nurses are crying. I'm like, oh my God, why are you guys crying? You guys are meant to be making me feel better. And I just was like, get it off. And Milan kind of said, I want to cut my hair first. And we both cut our hair in the ward, and it was the most horrible, what's it called?
Like
the most
clippers.
Yeah. Oh, they were so blunt, and they pulled my hair, and it was horrible. So we bought the ward beautiful clippers, because I thought you really need clippers in this ward. Once I got it off, I just felt so much better. It didn't really bother Milan so much. She just wanted it off because I had it off.
So you did yours first?
Yes, I did mine first.
Because you knew that was that a spontaneous decision that you just made?
I just felt, I don't know why, I felt so devastated because she's got such beautiful hair. And my hair was really long. My hair was like up to here. And I just didn't want hair if she didn't have hair. I just didn't want it. I didn't want any of my hair. And so I just wanted it off. I didn't care how. It was so bodgy. I had to go to the hairdresser after to fix it. I put on a bandana, and we went to Tony and Guy across the road, and they fixed it for free. It was amazing. And they fixed hers as well. And I just felt so much better. I don't know why I'm crying, because I just remember how I felt that day. It was absolutely, my whole body hurt. It just hurt so much. I think it was the reality of what the treatment's doing to her. And I didn't expect it. Even the oncologist was like, it's going to come out on day 15. But it just was all there, and it was beautiful. And I thought, it's not coming out. Maybe it's not going to come out. It came out on day 15. It was so strange. It was weird.
There's something that I understand to be so primal about that, certainly for girls and women, but also for many people with cancer, it's the first time they actually look sick.
Yeah. And it's a sign, it's a visual sign that you're going through active cancer treatment, isn't it? People think I had cancer.
Well, that's what I thought when I saw you. I was like, don't tell me this woman and her child have cancer.
Because I realised they give me looks and they smile. Yeah. And some breast cancer people, they've said to me, it's not me, it's not me. It's her. I'm fine.
You've chosen to keep shaving your head.
Yeah, I'm not going to have hair until she has hair. Yeah. Even she tells me, it's getting long, Mum. I better shave it off. Yeah, and her sister wanted to cut her hair too, but Milan didn't want that. She didn't want Micah to do it. And you know what? My husband's not allowed to cut his hair, so he's got long hair now. And my son's not allowed, so I'm growing his hair too. So only me and Milan.
Life goes on, doesn't it?
It does.
You've got one sick child, but you've got two children who are full of energy in life and demanding and want their mum and want their dad's attention. How do you manage that?
In the beginning, it's funny you asked this. In the beginning, I felt like so guilty, and I didn't sleep in the hospital until recently because I was still breastfeeding my baby. So I had a lot of support with my parents and with my sister's in-laws that live walking distance from the hospital. So I would spend all day with Milan. I started cutting the feeds, spent all day with her, and then at night my husband would sleep with her at the hospital, and I'd go home to my son and breastfeed him. And kind of like I just thought, okay, look, I'm not ready, but I want to spend more time with Milan. And it wasn't until her last round of the last chemo protocol that I had cut him, and I was able to spend all day, all night with her. And it's just, the other two kids, they're happy, they're healthy, they're having fun, loving life. They do miss me and I miss them, but Milan is my priority now. She's just the one that needs me the most now, and that's all right. That's all right. The other two will be all right, and they are all right. I see they're fine. And when we're together as a family, I make a big effort to hang out with all of them together. And yeah, I used to feel bad, but I don't feel bad anymore because it's life or death now, like I thought I was going to lose her. I haven't felt this way for so long. And when she was seizuring, and this was only 3 weeks ago, when her oxygen levels were dropping, I was hit with the fact that, oh my God, I could lose her. And that feeling, no parent should have to feel that feeling. No one, because she's here and she's doing well, and I'm so grateful. And you know what? She's going to be fine.
Marilee, do you cry all the time?
No.
Are you scared all the time?
I used to be. I stopped being scared Wednesday last week when she started totally improving. And then I said to myself, no, just no more being scared. Properly, we're being brave now and being positive now. And I can tell you honestly from my heart that she's going to be okay, that she's going to beat this, because she's showing me now, look, she's got leptomeningeal disease now. That's the worst of the worst. It's a terminal late stage cancer thing. And if she's showing response to this treatment, this is amazing.
First of all, tell me what happened 3 weeks ago.
So we had a meeting on a Friday, and the doctor sat us down and said, look, it's bad news. The leptomeningeal is widespread. It's radiation resistant, chemo resistant. If you choose not to do treatment, that's fine. Go home and have quality of life. We will support that decision. We can do palliative chemo, which is a chemo through the line and on oral chemo to buy you guys. You can have months instead of weeks, because if we did nothing, she had weeks. Quality of life. They're trying to ram that down my throat, and I'm like, no, no thanks. So I just spent all my days and nights, so that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, calling Texas, calling Ohio, just going nuts, just contacting anyone that I could. Ended up talking to Jonathan Finley, a doctor from Nationwide Children's Hospital in Ohio, and I had been kind of emailing him since her relapse. And I said, look, Jonathan, what do I do? And he said, I would suggest what I suggested last year, which is get an Ommaya reservoir in her head, get this high dose chemo to her head, and then and then continue. And then once we get the lepto under control, continue with 3 cycles of marrow ablative chemotherapy to give her a hope of a chance at a cure. I was like, are you serious? You're the first person that has used the word cure and Milan together for, in forever. I took this to my doctors. They said no again. So they said no last year. They said no again, this time. And I said, no, this is what we want. We want to do this. So let me know if you can do it, because if not, I'm taking her away. And I looked up Medivac, and and at this point she was still fine. Like, we went to the playground, she was still fine. Back and forwards, and I even consulted with Charlie Teo. I knew he couldn't help me, but everyone was pressuring me. He's known as the magician. He's just a surgeon, but I consulted with him. Consulted with Dr. Nick Gotardo in Perth. Kind of came down to a vote, of what we should do, and pretty much everyone said, "Yep, quality of life." Just quality of life, except for this doctor in Ohio. He's known as a cowboy in this world. But you know what? My husband and I thought to ourselves, she's got a cancer this aggressive. It's going to need aggressive treatment, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd rather die trying. If getting this in her head caused her to die, which everyone was worried that she wouldn't survive the surgery, if she died that day, I said to myself, I would be at peace, because I did everything I could
to save her.
And it's funny that she started declining pretty much when we decided, when the hospital decided they would do as I asked.
So this treatment is putting the chemo directly into her brain?
Yes, which they've done before, but they've never done these drugs at such high doses. And, they've never done it here in Randwick. But this doctor in Ohio has had success with it. And he said to me, I know Professor Con, and I have more grey hairs than Dr. Ziegler. Like, he's experienced, right? No, he's wonderful, this doctor. He's just been wonderful, giving me hope. And that's hope sometimes is all you have to keep you going. No one thought she would survive. It's so toxic. Every step of the way, people were warning me of the risks, and it couldn't cause fatality, cause neurotoxicity, cause this, cause that, cause this. And this is while my daughter was in my arms, freaking, seizuring, and it was just the most disgusting, horrible experience. I just started feeling like they were sending people in to try convince me to do palliative care. So like my CNC nurse came in and was talking, they're very nice, but the way they talk, you know what they're trying to say. And then I remember another nurse says to me, Marilee, is her body trying to tell you something? And I was like, Are you serious? Are you serious? Yes, it's saying to me, save me, mum. Save me, mum. Don't let me die. That's what she's saying. Okay. Okay. And big respect to all the parents out there that make that choice, but that's not for my family. That just is not. I couldn't live with myself. Right? Watching her, how she took radiation like a boss. How she took those 3 chemotherapy cycles like a boss. And we haven't been fighting for that long. She can do this. And she's doing it. But so I'm taking you back to that day where she was desatting and her oxygen levels are going down, and the nurse was saying to us, the cancer's trying to kill her, but we won't let that happen. They were so wonderful, the nurses. Every half an hour running into our room because her oxygen levels were going down. I didn't sleep that night because I thought, oh my God, she could go. I just felt she could die that night. Next morning, she was fit for surgery. She's still, but she was clean, her body was fine for surgery, went in, got it in, it's in. She was fine, but she was still, seizuring and not talking and not opening her eyes. But they used it immediately, so I think 4 or 5 hours after they came to inject the drugs in. Before they injected it in, I got a friendly reminder saying, if anything happens, can you please remember to just step out of the room so we could work on her, because it's very toxic and, it could cause fatality. Oh, man, I heard that word so many times. I was like, whatever. Once it went in, and it was fine. I remember seeing the Professor Cotton, walking in, and like he just looked so relieved, and I think, okay, look, poor guys, you're probably nervous too, but have some consideration for my mental state here. I just felt like I'm always feeling like I'm fighting when I'm at the hospital, but even more so, and repeating myself, like, no palliative care, no palliative care, no thank you, no palliative care. It was just unbelievable.
And what's her recovery been like since the operation 3 weeks ago?
Oh, and then we were in C2 West for 2 weeks, pretty much trying to control her seizures. That was hard, like seeing her seizure. And then all of a sudden, I remember a day or 2 days after her surgery, she had a moment of just alertness, and I was like, oh my God. And I was so excited, posted it on Facebook. I'm like, oh my God, like she's better. I remember talking to my oncologist about it, and he shot me down. He was like, oh, this is characteristic of leptomeningeal disease. You see fluctuations. And I just felt like someone stabbed me in the stomach, right? Okay, fine. And then I just had to go into myself and thought, look, you know what? Eye on the prize. She's alive. We've got to control the seizures now. And I don't care that I'm at hospital. I was happy to be at hospital. I thought I was going to do this in hospital. I was planning for the long haul. But she got better. Her seizures stopped. She was still like a semi-vegetable. Took her home, but she was well enough to go home, took her home. The Monday and Tuesday we were home. I was super depressed because, seeing her like this and, having my mum, I got suicidal. I'm not even embarrassed to admit it. I legit thought, okay, what if I just killed myself? Okay, I can't kill myself because I have, my 3 children and husband. Okay, what if I killed all of us? That'd be all right. And then I thought, okay, shit, what about my parents? What about my family and friends? Okay, I can't. All these thoughts ran through my head. I'm not a depressive, like I'm positive, Have you met me before, Mia?
Yes, you're very positive. And you're a feisty one.
But I'm actually fun, and I don't know, like this whole thing has made me a bit... But
how could it not? Like, I can't imagine why you're not fun and, a good time girl to be around right now, Marilee.
Seriously? So having those thoughts, I thought, oh my God. And then I thought, there's people that think this every day, and I thought, shit. And then I felt lucky. I thought, okay, look, I'm grateful to not feel this way all the time. And then I just made sure I put things in place. Like I made sure someone was always with me, my mum or my sister. But she started improving on the Wednesday onwards. She just started being awake for longer, and started talking, started not looking so. What's that word? Like disabled. I don't want to, no disrespect to disabled people, but you know what I mean. Like she started looking more herself.
Yeah.
And just. Like today, oh my gosh, said to me, what did she say to me? She just said too many things to me today, I can't even remember, but I'm like, oh my God, can you shut up? And I thought that today, like, this is amazing. And then what
a dream to want your child to stop talking. Like that's been your dream.
And I saw her doctor yesterday. We had a clinic yesterday, and he's happy. And I'm like, oh my God, like he's never happy. I said to him, I'm trying not to get too excited here, Ziegler, because you always shoot me down. And he's actually clinically, she's examining really well, and so she's responding, and this is what we want. And he said to me, whatever you're doing, continue what you're doing. I'm like, okay, I will, even though I don't really tell him what I'm doing because I'm doing a lot of things and he's against everything. And
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, in terms of people offering you advice, everyone has the best of intentions, but particularly in those early days, were you inundated with people saying, try this natural therapy and try
I'm
this
happy.
diet?
I ask people to tell me. I'm like, tell me, hit me, I can handle this. I'm a teacher, like, getting hit with information is fine for me. It doesn't offend me. I'm actually so grateful and so happy to have all this information thrown at me. The more the better. And
how do you sort through it and work out what to do and what not to do and what might be a little bit of a scam and what might be worth pursuing?
Lots of Googling, lots of asking parents with kids with the same kind of diagnosis around the world, lots of making just personal choices myself, lots of thinking, what would be best for her. And, I've come to a medium. I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing. It's a lot, and it's a lot of things to remember. But I'm on top of it. Like, I could tell you, like, with my eyes closed, like, what she has at what time. And, I think look, she's been so healthy otherwise. Like, yes, she's got cancer, but this whole journey, she's actually super healthy. And she's always eaten well, but now she's even more healthy because she's off her sweets. She just doesn't want any desserts, which is great because I don't have time to cook anymore. But so I used to bake all the time and do this and do vegan cakes and just, I don't make anything anymore. But she's off all her sweets, which is, she's very healthy.
How has it been on your relationship with your husband?
Oh, he's amazing. I respect him so much. Not that I didn't respect him, but I didn't realise how much I needed him until now. I used to think to myself all the time, like, if anything happened, like, I could totally look after the kids myself. Who needs a man, really? Like, you gave me the kids, fine, And when we'd have fights and stuff, he'd say, look, I know you'll be fine without me. I'm like, I know I will. But now he's just, I really do need him, and to the point where sometimes I say to him, I'm like, just be around, okay? Because he still works. And I prefer it that way. So I do everything with Milan, and I take her everywhere, and he needs to work because we need a future and we need an income. And also, if he's around too much, he drives me insane, right? He just, oh, no thanks. So, but the days that I do feel like I need him, I say to him, look, can you be around? And he's around. And it is helpful. It's just, it's good to know that you have someone that feels exactly the same way as you in your corner. Yeah, my friends and family and my mum, but it's just different when it's your child.
You obviously can't work. You're full-time caring for Milan.
Full-time, yeah. I think of work and I'm like, as if I'm ever going to go to work. When she's better, my work will be, helping other families and other people in my situation because I friggin' know what it's like. That's my work. I've planned it.
What did you do before this?
High school teacher. 2 days a week, but part-time. But still, I went to work 2 days and, And the plan was to, as the kids grew older, maybe I'd work more, maybe I'd do more teaching. But I'm not interested in any of that now. I want to do so many. I want to get my daughter better, and then I want to organise some kind of organisation to have superheroes and princesses to regularly visit the cancer wards and regularly, so every second day visit and do costumes and makeup. And I think that's really needed here at the Children's Hospital. I think, that's my dream. But that's when Milan's better.
What do we need to know about how to help people who are taking care of a sick child? Because so many people will say, what can I do? What can I do?
Yeah.
What can we do?
You know what? Food's good. Home cooked food is amazing. Her school has actually, the kindy parents have organised a roster where they cook and they just drop the food off in front of my house in an esky box. So, if I'm not in the mood to chat or anything like that. And I didn't come up with this idea. It was one of the kindy mums, and I thought, oh my God, that is so helpful. That's been the number one. Because, at the beginning of this, I cooked mainly, and I don't really like eating out too much. It's too salty, too oily, and we just ate out so much. And I thought, oh my God, the amount we're eating out, it's just because, you've got no time. So having home-cooked meals is just wonderful. It's so wonderful. Better than the frozen meals you order, because I tried that as well, and they're so salty. So that's been a big deal, I've found, just being able to go out to the front of my house, open that esky, and there's something that another mum has cooked, and I can feed that to my kids.
Milan's certainly lucky to have someone like you in her corner fighting for her?
Oh, I don't know. I think she gets pretty annoyed. I think she's like, I think if she could say it, she'd be like, "Piss off, mum," because I'm in her face. I can't help it. I know she wants to just rest, but I'm like, no, let's paint, let's draw, let's go outside, let's work your brain. I know you're not tired. It's just the cancer making you tired. You're not even tired. and my mum says to me, "Oh my God, Marilee, if you can be depressed but still push her to do things, that's pretty good." I'm like, I don't. That's just. Yeah, it's non-stop, but that's how I am. And I think, I don't know, if you don't work something, you use it or lose it, right? So, and she's speaking Vietnamese too. Like, so she's today she started using more Vietnamese, and if she says something in English, I say to her, "What does that mean? I don't understand," in Vietnamese, and she's saying it perfectly in Vietnamese.
I assume she could speak Vietnamese before the surgery.
Yeah, she's amazing.
This isn't a new thing.
I know, but she hasn't been speaking much, you know, at all. And and the first language she used was English, and she's been using English.
Yeah.
So that's working, and she's played piano, not yesterday, day before. I just made her sit at the piano and she did a scale. Didn't want to, but did a scale. And next step, I'm going to put the violin in her hands and make her do a scale. I'll probably do that after I speak to you.
Tiger mother.
No, but because she's
no rest for the cancer patient.
No, because she's good. She's good. She's just a good musician. She's beautiful.
And what about you? How are you taking care of you?
People ask me that. I've booked to get my eyebrows feathered.
That's good.
A week, at the end of her second round, I've booked it in. Finally, I've been wanting to do this for ages.
Is that the tattooing thing?
Yeah, where they like draw. So draw it on. That's about it. But look, how I take care of myself by taking care of her, seeing her get well, feeling freaking fabulous. Yeah, feeling great that she's well, and that's it. That's all I want.
And do you dare to think about the future?
The future with her in it, yeah, now I do. I couldn't before. You want to hear something really bad? Like, I used to be so scared that I thought about things like her funeral and what we do moving on. Okay, so we had 3 kids, now we only have 2. What about her car seat? Oh my God, just stupid things like that. And now I don't think. Now I actually think, no, she'll be good and we'll be right. And she's going to get married and live with me. I'm going to try and make my house big enough so her husband and children can live with us, because she's not getting out of my sight ever. And I can see her getting better. And big plans for her. Like, so once we get this lepto under control, I want to take her to New York and get an antibody treatment into her reservoir, because I've been speaking to a family who's also being treated by this doctor in Ohio, and his son was pretty much even in a worse off condition than Milan's, and that's what he's doing so well now. He's on his last round of chemo, and he's going to go to New York to do that. And why he's going to do that is because 2 other families have had great success, 8 years NED and 4 years NED. So
what's NED?
I just want no evidence of disease.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from coming back from such a bad prognosis like Milan, similar. Not exactly the same, but it's very aggressive. That's it. We can't treat you anymore. This father that I'm speaking to is from Israel, and Israel told him that there was no hope of cure, no hope, and within 72 hours he was on a plane to Ohio. So I'm speaking to him at the moment. Yeah, so there is hope, and I can't get it here. I'll get it somewhere else.
Where there's life, there's hope. That's
right. As long as she's breathing and I can do things, and as long as I'm walking and talking and breathing, I'll find a way.
You stay strong so you can keep fighting for your girl, Marilee.
Oh, God. I'm not strong, like, at all. I thought I was strong before this. I was pretty strong, pretty tough. No, I'm not. This has killed me. I live for her. I live because of her now. And she's strong. And I look at her and I'm like, wow. I feel like she's carrying our family forward. She's so little, she shouldn't have to, but she is. She's amazing.
Can you give her a big hug from me?
Yeah, I will.
I hope you agree that that was a really important story to tell and to share. And if you know anyone that would be helped by listening to that story, please tell them about it. Please share this podcast. Now, if you want to help Milan and Marilee and their family, you can visit GoFundMe and search Milan's brain cancer. And we'll also be linking to this in our show notes. Obviously, anything that you can do to support Marilee and Milan would be hugely appreciated. The producer of today's episode was Eliza Ratliff. I'm Mia Friedman, and I will see you on mamamia.com.au.